um, several sectors in carbon management and how to align our audiences and those that are very interested in the climate change sector with new leads and discussions that usually just ravishes the mind and gets one prepared for what the future holds. I am so excited. We have two wonderful people in our midst today. We have Adeleke Taiwo, ACA MBA. Adeleke Taiwo is an energy expert. And we also have Olakunle Oweye. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. So we'll be having a discussion on the Nigeria's energy transition roadmap. Actually, we'll be dissecting it today. And so we would go into that in a bit. But before we do that, I would love for speakers to give us a brief introduction of themselves and also have the audience um, have an insight of what you're already doing and your experience in this field. So I'll start with you, Mr. Delicate. I would love you to give us an introduction of yourself. And yeah, let's kick off with that.
All right. Thank you, Benay, and good afternoon to everybody. My name is Leke. I am more like I don't know. Maybe I'll say like I'm like an energy specialist. So when it gets to that, I specialize in both gas and power area of the industry. I mostly just I do more on the power side. But I also also work on gas side, and I think that's just basically most of what my career has been about in just promoting the usage of gas all over Nigeria and also across some West African countries, and also promoting the gas to power, and also promoting the development of power infrastructures among different industries in the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adeleke. That's exceptional. It's an honor to have you here and have you on this discussion as well. Okay, so on to you, Mr. Lakunle. We'd like to hear more about you and brief introduction before we go into the proper matter of today. Okay, I think he's left the stage. All right, we're still going to go ahead while he fixes up with his technical issues. Okay, so Mr. Deleke, we're here to dissect Nigeria's energy transition roadmap. I want to start before we go into the whole transition and all of that. From your own experience, how has energy been so far? How has the progress track in Nigeria been so far? What in your experience, what is the situation we are in now, and why do you think this transition is as timely as it is from your experience?
All right, thank you, Benani. So, from my own experience, I think Nigeria has been very quite. How would I say this? They've been quite active in coming up with different agencies and policies and trying to just promote um, the energy transition in for us transiting to the from the regular fossil fuel that we were using decades ago when so going through HGO and PMS that was popular like decades ago, transiting into more cleaner fossil fuels, and we have the country started promoting the use of the cleaner fossil fuel, which is natural gas, and then in the different form pipeline gas, CNG, LNG in different forms that natural gas can be transported to the different. So Nigeria has been quite active in that. The NGEP, which is the National Gas Inspection Program, was set up to promote this. So in my own experience, the country has been quite active. There are different agencies that the country has set up to promote this. Are they quite effective? That is you feel that it's a little dicey to see the how fast are they in meeting their targets in that sense? Are they effective in meeting up with the different policies that have been set? But is it is Nigeria working? Yes, so far yes. In my own experience, I've seen Nigeria play active role in that sense.
Thank you so much. Mr. Lakule, so we had a brief introductory session, and I wanted to, take it up with, from your own end. Give us a brief introduction of yourself, and of course, you're in the NG sector, like I already made a brief introduction about earlier on. But want to, of course, you've done so much more than just those words. Want to give have an idea of where your impact has been in the energy sector. So would I'm sure the audience are already listening in, and they want to have a sense of what you're already doing or you've already done. So please go ahead. Mr. Lakunle, can you hear us?
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me well because
Yes,
I
yes,
guess
perfect.
maybe the internet or so. I'm trying to change the position if that can be improved. But please, can you confirm to me that you can hear me at least?
Yes, yes, yes. I can hear you, and I'm also going to leave a reaction to also tell you that you can go ahead and speak on. I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry about this. My name is Olakunle Owóẹ̀yẹ. The managing director of ECOWAS Nigeria Limited, a sustainable energy development company. I have over 10 years experience promoting sustainable energy in the country, in the area of energy efficiency, energy management systems, renewable energy design and installation, technical due diligence, and market research. Um, Market intelligence. So this is what we do in ECOWAT, and as a person, I've had extensive experience in consulting for several development organizations on several programs in sustainable energy in the country, like Lighting Africa program, like the Nigeria Electrification program, going with the Nigeria Electrification Agency, like Nigeria Energy Support Program being handled by GIZ, a development organization. And so this is what I've been doing over the past 10 years. Thank you.
That's amazing. It's good to have you here with us and to discuss this as well. I think we'll just go straight. We have, I mean, the current energy framework that Nigeria runs on, oil, the gas, and all of that, is has been the one that has been fueling the economy of Nigeria for too long, right? It's created millions of jobs. It has created streams of family incomes. It has created several systems that Nigeria heavily relies on. Now, the next questions people would come up with is, okay, with this transition, what's in for us? What's in it? I used to my parents or my family has an oil business, or we're dealing in a dispensary of petrol, or we'll be looking at this point. So, where do we make, because every in the transitioning, everyone has to imbibe a sense of transition as well. You have to shift because you have to move with the times, or else you'll be left behind like every other sector. So, from your own perspective and from your industry experience, Mr. Adeleke, where would the impact what would the impact transitions be if you were to advise some young people who are looking at, going to the energy sector? It's a booming sector right now. Everyone's talking about net zero, everyone's talking about transitioning. Where would your focus and your best advice be?
Okay, thank you for that. For So, I would say for people like trying, maybe interested in energy space, trying to probably come into the market. Of course, gas has been defined. Natural gas has been defined as a transition fuel, so it's not a carbon emission saving fuel that we feel like is going to last for forever decades. Yes, the gas should be available, but it's not the best way also for the climate. So there's still the push that is
Yeah,
being done globally for more cleaner fuel than natural gas. So the renewables are it's quite an interesting market. It's still a space that Nigeria and many other countries in the world have not really like pushed well to tap. And I think for people that are interested in energy space, putting their faith into the renewable space and just getting a bit of education, a bit of training in that would kind of like put you at a good position to be able to trend or survive or to just make an impact in the energy space. Of course, it doesn't mean that gas being a transition for is still an active space right now. So having an understanding of where we are in our natural
yeah,
gas space and is still like quite important. It doesn't mean that if you want to go, that you just leave all other fossil fuel and just go on to learning about renewables. Yes, understanding it's good to understand history that will help you know how to best attend to the future. So understanding the history of where when was the using of fossil fuel, the using of moving to now the transition fuel of using natural gas as a cleaner fossil fuel to
yeah,
now us transitioning to renewables. So understanding the history is important, but yes, putting a good learning and into renewables. There's so many renewable energy fuels.
yeah,
The most popular around the world is solar and hydro. In
yeah,
Nigeria, I think hydro is one of the most popular renewable source in that sense. So understand the putting your foot in the wind is still another very vibrant renewable energy source. But that
yeah,
is not as popular in many countries yet. But yeah, so just understanding the issue, understanding the putting learning and trainings in the general fossil fuels in that gen, but most importantly, the knowledge of renewable energy in Nigeria is still below par of what the expectation is right now for us to be able to achieve the
yeah.
2060 goal of the net zero carbon emission.
Well, thank you, Mr. Adeleke. So you mentioned something that got me thinking. I would like to address this to Mr. Olakunle. So, in the renewable energy sector, right? We know that there are a lot of companies that are sprouting, a lot of companies that are taking advantage of, the whole transition agenda, net zero, and all of that. There's still a value chain. Um, there's a difficulty in value chain. Getting the full package from the value chain. What I mean is that from your process, I mean from general process, we see is most of the products used, most of the instruments would use or deployment would still have to be imported, right? Now we're transitioning, so that there's still going to be heavy reliance on importation. Mr. Olakunle, how do you think is there going to be a way that we can actually transition as we're transitioning from into a cleaner energy supply chain and all of that? Is there a way that we can also transition our production, transition our
Yes.
value chain production into a point where we can start making or producing some of these most of these items, most of these renewable energy devices in Nigeria, because it would help a lot. I want to know your how that can happen from your own research perspective.
Yeah, thanks very much for that question. I would say that it's not a rocket science to start doing our own thing here in the country. I was actually involved in one of the studies that SC4 worked on. I mean, to
Yeah,
see what to do in order to make domesticate manufacturing of solar systems in Nigeria to be able to compete with China in terms of cost. And so every other thing, I mean, fiscal policies, incentives, waiving all the duty for on solar products and all that. I mean, in order to still compete, still it was not getting to the level of having the same cost with that of China, not importing. So I would say that it's not really like the difficulty is not about the science or the know-how. It's actually about mostly our issues in our inherent issues because part of what we saw was the cost of powering those industries to that will be manufacturing these products in
Yeah.
the country. So the cost is still very high. So I'm an energy efficient proponent, and I we found out that okay, if we can do a lot about reducing production costs in terms of energy share of it will really be competitive. So we will still get to that level because the way is one of the risk for this transition because mostly we depend on imported technologies and seeking forests to be able to bring them in will always have negative impact on our economy. So I think, yes, I would say that it's possible to domesticate the manufacturing. It's not a rocket science, but we still need to do more in terms of provision that is cost effective, that is affordable to be able to produce those things. Because our study, we realized that it takes like 5% or so of energy costs in the total production cost in developed country like China, whereas in Nigeria we spend like 40% sometimes of the share of energy, I mean the whole production cost. So if that can actually be reduced with all other incentives with that, I think we can actually get to that point. And it's in the pipeline. I mean, there's a work towards that provision of manufacturing plants for solar PV systems and incorporating, I mean, integrating SON to be part of the process so that we can develop standards, our own local standards that
Yeah.
will for quality assurance on that. So it's possible, but it's just little things we need to do more to make that a reality.
That's actually wonderful to hear, Mr. Olakunle. You mentioned something. You mentioned risk, and it just cast my mind. And I was thinking, right now, with the of course we have a lot that's happening in Nigeria, and bringing in infrastructure development that may be, I think, foreign to some communities, foreign to or new to communities, new to some industries. There's going to be some shock, right? There's going to be some resistance at first because people would come up with the issues of, oh, this may cost higher, this may be more expensive. I'll just stick with what I already have, what I'm already using. I would like to ask, are we do we have the resource capability yet? Are we there? At what point, or at what point of the receptive ladder, community receptive ladder, are we to push with the whole effort of transition, right? How good, what is the education level of Nigerians? What is the acceptability level of Nigerians? What is the security state of Nigeria? Because of course these things are expensive. I know that there are issues where in some communities where mini grids are installed, there's vandalization to some point. Some of the equipment gets stop running, and then there's no effective way to go back and put back the systems back on and just make sure that there's efficiency, that hiccup of, of monitoring and making sure that everything works is there. So are we really ready? Is our human resource ready? Are people ready? Is the environment ready for this? Because I understand it's good. Transition is good. It's a good global concept. Everyone's trying to push it here, there, and make sure that okay, we're aligned with what the global rave is. But where are we really, if we're being honest? Mr. Adeleke, where do you think we are on this physiologically?
Um, Okay. I think we are still far away from where we should be at the moment. And there is so much that needs to be done in just creating a space that just encourages that transition in Nigeria. I think part of the a part of the energy transition plan is to be able to give about I think 840,000 jobs by
Yeah,
2060, and to be able to achieve something like this, it's going to be gradual. It's not something that will just happen overnight. And such, it starts from now. It starts from us doing the right trainings, letting people understand what technical trainings and all the kind of trainings that might be required for people to just be well knowledgeable on the technology and also the commercial and everything in the renewable energy space. And this take intentionality by the leadership of Nigeria. So the leadership of Nigeria must be intentional about this. It's not just about creating bills, acts, policies, and everything like that. It's about showing, taking the step, making actions, and it involves there's this popular stuff done by many other countries in the world, which is like a train the trainer, which includes just getting the bright minds and just even moving them to other countries that are well grounded in this area. Uh,
yeah,
just take an example of just maybe just moving like getting like 1,000 bright minds that are interested in the energy space and taking them for training and train them effectively for 5 years, for 10 years. Because sometimes this thing is not a short-term plan. It's not something that will last for months. It's something that might last
definitely.
for a few years. To be able to get something ready by that 2060, it takes a while. It takes a bit of work, and sometimes Nigeria may not be that long-sighted in that area, and that is something an actionable plan for Nigeria. When it comes to the human resource wise, right now we're not there. A lot of knowledge, a lot of technical capabilities are not currently in country as Mr. Warrior said, a lot of things are still being imported, and to be able to get to a place where we can produce in country to
Yeah,
affect, because all this importation is affecting our dollar, our naira to dollar value in that sense, because there's, as much as we are pushing this industry, then it's affecting importation, then it's affecting our naira. So we have to be able to train people, we have to be able to invest in people, and it takes intentionality by the government to be able to do that, to just invest in training the human resource and just equipping them with the technical knowledge and skills to be able to do this. And also, many other policies need to be made to encourage, as you said, security, financing. Can they get good financing? Can they be sure of security? Can they be sure of, because for this, the government is not going to just be looking at, okay, what is in for the government. We have to be able
yeah.
to look at what is in for the people, and there are different ways that this can be done. So there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done by the government to ensure that the human resource is ready for that energy transition.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I have a so while you were just speaking, I thought of something, right? Currently we have discos, right? We have for the discos that where you can align your energy needs with Nigeria. We also have for instance, the solar energy framework have been able to put up very small, what we call mini grids, very small energy dispensing systems, some in communities, some in homes, and yes, some just subsistent systems. I fear that in the future, these small companies, these companies that are putting up these mini grid systems, putting up this connecting communities to electricity through solar power, do you feel that there may be an endangerment in future, Mr. Alakunle, by the government? Do you think that there may be a time, judging from the past, because this we're not um, putting words in isolation, judging from the past, judging from what has happened with government institutions, in fact, what is currently happening, do you think that companies that are already in this ecosystem, companies are already deploying this mode of distribution, would be put um, out of business if the government completely steps in to say, okay, we want to handle this solely? Do you think there's a time where the government will say we want to take full control of this distribution system?
Oh, great. A great question from you there. This is actually a concern that have been raised and already settled. So the fact is not actually um, cost effective, I would say, to take power to all those rural communities. One of it is, I mean, grid, extend grid to those rural communities. One of the reasons is because those guys there, they don't have enough money to even pay. So it's better to have the kind of mini grid, decentralized energy generation in those communities. And they are all being put there by private sectors. But the
Yeah.
thing is, electricity sector, I mean, in the past, the generation and distribution has already been privatized. So, and these private companies, the discos, they all have the jurisdiction to cover the areas that they bought. So, but and this part, these rural communities are also part of their own jurisdiction. So, in the future, they might want to get to that place. So, what they've
Yeah.
told the people doing the mini grid is that do a system that is quality. I mean, like compliance to the minimum level, so that when these guys are coming to take over that those community, then they can inherit what you have put in there. I mean, and but if you put a system that is below par in terms of quality that has been specified through the technical regulations, then nobody will pay you for it. You're just going to lose. But just make sure whatever you're doing now, do it to standards. So there's a law already that when these guys are coming to take over that community, they just I mean, take it from you at the right price, right cost. So far, you have followed up with the government's regulations on the standards. So there won't be a problem for them in future if eventually if discos are taking over or even if government is taking over this community, because it's already in law that so far you are able to do a standard project in those communities, then it is you'll be compensated at rightly on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Olakule. That's actually very good to know. I hope that we have a lot of people listening in. We have a lot of people from the energy sector, from community mobilization, from development, and this is actually a wonderful opportunity to hear and listen to two wonderful energy experts as we try to break down what the pros cons of the energy transition story for Nigeria. So we like to welcome everyone again. And if you have questions, please drop them in the chat box. I will read them out and I would have this conversation running. So okay, that's great to know. I would like to go back to you, Mr. Dedeke. Where do we see where do we see this transition, or yes, this new quest? Where do we see it feeding into the energy demand that Nigeria currently needs? Because the current system can't do or isn't doing much good. So, what's the difference? Where what's going to be the efficiency difference? That's what I would like to know. What would make the mark with this new with this new system, with this new framework? What would be different? What do you think would be different from what we're currently using? What we're currently using is the discos. Then we have personal. Some people want to be sustainable, so they have their own personal choice of what is would be sustainable as an alternative to discos. But to you, in the transitioning, what do you think would be different then in the future where we've fully, we have not fully, but we've come to a good enough ratio where we've cut down on the oil and moved on to maybe renewable and LNGs. So, what do you think would be different then than it is now in the aspect of demand?
Okay. When it comes to demand for energy demand is not something that would decline over the years. It's something that will keep accelerating as long as we are promoting industrialization. So, energy demand will keep going higher. But as we are transition in this transition, one of the things that would also happen is grid modernization, which will cause us to have kind of like smarter grids, which will ensure that people have access to know what the energy demand is, what the energy usage is. So as we are in this transition phase to just improve the energy sector, as we know, one of the issues that are facing the energy sector today is technology. Many of the technology in the transmission space, in the distribution space, are not even enough to meet up with the demand. So, and that improvement that needs to be done will require some level of financing. And for these people to be able to get that level of financing, they must be able to be assured of the revenue line because as that's the concept of privatizing. When you privatize something, then it's not more like a public good. It's more like people are looking at it on how are they going, what is their financial gain on this. So anybody that's going to be investing in this, they have to be that value chain to be sure that they are able to know what energy is available and what the revenue line is going to be. So, the future, if we're able to have smarter grid, if we're able to have government policies that encourages financing. So, for financing in to be able, in the energy space, there's a lot of policies that the government needs to put in place to just encourage that, so that any private organization that wants to involve that want to get financing for the energy space, maybe for distribution line, for mini grids and all, they're able to get cheap financing. They're able to and ensure security in that sense. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But once we're able to modernize the grid to just have smarter grids where the technology is fine, we can what is produced can get to the end users in good times, then it would help to as demand is increasing, we're able to meet up with that demand with better technology in that sense. So that's where I see once we're able to improve on the technology in the space for both the grid and the out of grid area in that sense. So the work that needs to be done to improve this is what will help us in this future that we're looking at.
That's very interesting, Sir Dedike. I also agree with you. I agree that the grid modernization, of course, would be an aspect to facilitating better and change that will be needed as well. Mr. Alakole, we just recently Nigeria just recently signed an MOU with the Israeli and Japanese, I think, manufacturing companies for assembling of electric vehicles. Now, of course, this is in line with the energy transition framework. There's going to be the value chain benefits, of course. When we talk energy, if we're looking at the current situation we have. We know that transportation is one of the biggest users of what we have, what we produce. So now, in the future, right, in this utopia future, what other value? What do you think would be the value chains that we could be you would love to see and would be feasible? Because we're looking at electric cars now. What else do we think would feature in that utopia future?
Okay. Yes. Is the world is tilting towards that now, and we should not be shy away from that. I mean, it's a reality. And the what I expect to start even seeing now is pilot projects commitment from by the government. So um, people always say that people say there's no electricity in the country. How will electric vehicle, I mean, actually operate or work? The thing is not the electric vehicle will not actually depend on the grid electricity. It will have its own dedicated charging point. Sometimes I've seen the car park, I would say BRT parks in Lagos, the one in Ojota, the one in Ikeja along the airport. They have a massive space for solar PV that can cover this whole space as if it's a car park where they can actually pilot some. I mean, it's not, like I keep saying, it's not a rocket science to have a PV system that will charge batteries. And if government can pilot some, I saw that some students did that in Unilag, but it's something that government should actually lead by example on. They should be able to prove to the people that they actually support this and they are ready for the uptake, and encourage the private individuals to start looking at that, because it's going to eat us very very soon. A lot of car manufacturers are already diversifying and
Yes.
doing going to electric vehicles, which we eventually is going to get to us. So, and we know that in Nigeria we don't actually mostly we don't buy new vehicles. So these
Yes.
guys are just going to, yes, is so with that the change is really coming. Most of the new vehicles that we'll be seeing now will be electric vehicles, and if you have to import them, how do we can't start that moment to start building infrastructure to support the operation of this vehicle. So I think I expect government to start doing something now. I mean, give incentives, do some pilots in Lagos, in some cities, and then test run them and let people see. Let the awareness start coming to people to start accepting that fact. And that notion should be corrected that because we don't have stable electricity, that actually can work. It can. It's just about dedicating power generation to charge these vehicles. And like I said, government should just try and do something. I mean, a pilot, it won't cost so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Olakin. I actually agree with you. In the wave of transitioning, we just can't come up, very close to the target timeline and say, okay, this is just today. We're just going to start this. It should be a process, and the pilot phase is actually very important. It'll give us a sense of what would work in our climate, what wouldn't work, how to properly condition it, because there's a lot of things that have been brought into Nigeria. Even the solar systems have been conditioned in the way to fit, the Nigerian ecosystem. So I gladly agree with you that that's what we should be looking at. So we're already done with this session. It was very engaging. I really loved the answers, and I can assure you that our those that joined in, we actually had people joining from LinkedIn, from Instagram, Facebook, and all over. And it's been an engaging session so far. So just to wrap up, we would just want to give or hear you just give us your closing remarks, Mr. Adeleke, Um, what do we take home from here? What do we look at? What do we sleep on? What should we, especially young people, because young people are in by 2060, a lot of us will be old people by then. Yeah. So, what do we take? How do we better prepare ourselves, and how do we make sure that the tide or the wave doesn't flip us across the shore? Make sure that we're able to properly coordinate ourselves and on time too. So, what will be your closing remarks? I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you, Benai. Well, 2060. Okay. So I think one of the major things that we need to, that I would just say, is knowledge is key. We need to pass the knowledge around. Every Nigerian needs to be knowledgeable about what Nigeria is doing when it comes in the energy space. There are many policies and many agencies that Nigeria has set up when it comes to energy transition that Nigerians are not even aware of. It just flies by. Where focusing on many other things, but not educating the people about, okay, how do we make this work? Because the government can't do it alone. It takes everybody. Nigeria has recently just launched the energy transition plan, and when we look at the energy transition plan, it's not a lot of people are not aware of, okay, what is my own input into this plan?
Exactly.
Do you get Nigeria as, okay, they've outlined top five areas that they feel that submit to the high carbon emission. And in that sense, and looking at the number two is vehicle, is transportation. So for us to, and then I think number three is cooking. So from households and from our transportation system, we are contributing a lot to emissions. So Nigerians need to be knowledgeable about the what is the situation of the country and how do I play my own part in that sense, because we cannot just open the government to do everything. We cannot just open the big companies that are maybe building solar panels or investing in renewable energy to do everything. Nigerians need to be knowledgeable about how do I contribute to this 2060 goal of a net zero carbon emission in that sense. And I think that's the challenge I would give to everyone today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adeleke. Going over to you, Mr. Olakule. Would like to also have your last words for this webinar series.
Yeah, thanks again for the opportunity. I would say that we should actually align ourselves with the plan ahead. The government has made their commitment. That is, it's going to attract a lot of investment in this area. And the five focus area: the power, transport, cooking, oil and gas, and industry. So a lot of opportunities within that. I mean, transitioning to gas from diesel base. That is a kind of business opportunity. If you're looking at where to find yourself, you can be in the gas network coverage. You can tap into the clean cooking. You can tap into environmental advocacy. A lot of opportunities are locked in this transition, and I would really encourage also government to be committed to the stake, pioneer case studies, provide resources, enable alliance among the stakeholders, because this is not something that has to be isolated. It has to go through all the stakeholders: CBN, NERC, MAN, ECN, media, and all that for real propagation, so that people can be ready and people can tap into the opportunity that are within. So that's what I can quickly say. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Alakunle. Thank you for taking out time. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeleke. Thank you also for taking out time.
Thank you
I
for
want to
having me.
thank yes, I want to also thank everyone that joined us for also taking out time to listen in. This is one of many climate change and carbon management webinar series, the Eco Carbon and Commodities Exchange, in partnership with the Eco Innovation Center. Make sure to prepare through communication, advocacy, education, and better prepare us actually um, around what Nigeria's plan and generally what the world is looking at for climate change and achieving net zero. So I really appreciate everyone for joining in today, and I want to say thank you on behalf of the team. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye for now.